Subscribe to our YouTube channel and press the bell icon to get the latest updates.
Hello and welcome to ThePrint. For those of you who've been following us on social media, you would know that my colleague Suraj and I have been bringing you the latest as far as the COVID pandemic in the state of Andhra Pradesh is concerned. And today we're going to be talking about the economic impact on this state as far as the industry is concerned, given that it has over 91,000 MSMEs employing over 10 lakh people. And Andhra Pradesh is another interesting state to cover because most of the testing kits for COVID are manufactured here. So joining me today is the Minister for Industries, Commerce and IT Technology, Mr. Gautam Reddy. Thank you so much for joining us at ThePrint. Sir, straight away, I want to begin with the state started with 0 testing labs for COVID, and today as we speak, there are 52. How did this happen?
Well, actually, to start off with, in the month of March, first week, we were having our first cabinet meeting, and if I'm not wrong, if I take it even a step backwards, in December, when the first outbreak of the world got an outbreak of this COVID, our chief minister had actually called in the health minister and sort of like asked him to start preparing an action plan. What could be likely be the what kind of what we need to do. In the month of March, we knew this. We knew it was going to be pandemic, and it's already showing the signs of whatever it showed. And we had immediately we had this the AMTZ, which is initiative between Government of India and Government of Andhra Pradesh, which is usually meant for manufacturing of medical kits. Now, one of the of course the head there, scientist there, he said, sir, one of the biggest, lacuna, what is the shortcomings in that cross and other parts of the world was the testing kits. I'm talking about basically, you talk about respirators, or whether you talk about your, basic testing kits, COVID testing kits that is there. He said, they're not available, sir, but we have an opportunity to create that testing kits available here. So, and it required certain amount of bridge funding, which the Chief Minister immediately sanctioned it. Now, these people went and they brought out a model, and this model was sanctioned by the ICMR, and it was a two-way testing kit, which was basically a PCR-based testing kit. Otherwise, you actually had an antibodies testing kit. Right. An antibodies testing kit was not very accurate, but the PCR RNA, which is what this has been working on, it's closer to the actual certification of the disease. So this is, and also one of the greatest thing about this was, this result you could be getting it in under 1 hour. So we have this tuberculosis machines, which this machine could be integrated into that. So it could be integrated to an existing TB machine, and you could get this test results out. So it was a very innovative process, and this was announced in the month of March, and March 15th or March 20th was when it was announced. And if you really see at that point of a time, state of Andhra Pradesh or the entire country, we were doing testings of what? Few hundreds, 100 every day, a few hundreds here and there. With this test, what we had, we scaled it up from those hundreds straight away to 1,000 a day. And then it just kept multiplying. And now today, just not that alone, but we've brought in multiple other testing apparatus also. And apart from this, as I said, when we had no testing kit, no testing units at all available, centers available, today the state of Andhra Pradesh has got 52 actual dedicated centers for testing this COVID.
I guess that also sort of explains the robust testing strategy that's been adopted by Andhra Pradesh. And even though the numbers have crossed 7,000, we've still seen the state, go aggressive as far as testing is concerned. I also want you to talk about how a lot of the testing kits being manufactured here are being supplied to the center, given 75% of otherwise the medical care is imported in India. So I think AP has been quite significant in that aspect.
The medtech zone was actually brought in to replace the foreign imports, the imports that we were getting in. And I think they played our scientists, whether it is our Baba Atomic Research, or whether it is our ICMR, or whether it is our Ministry of Health. I think they played a very stupendous role in this. And I must compliment all the scientists sitting there. They went out on a limb and actually have manufactured at the right time, and in this crucial time. Now, for example, this kit, the testing kit, now the entire country had no testing kits available. And now we are manufacturing from that medtech zone. I think we are manufacturing about 15,000 to 20,000 kits a day, which can actually be being scaled up to 50,000 also. So if you're talking about 15,000 kits a day, we're talking about 450,000 kits in a month. So this envisaged, or this sort of site, supported not only the state of Andhra Pradesh, but also the entire country to get the supply of these testing kits. Now the second part which I'll come to is, our Chief Minister, I think right from the onslaught, when this thing started, he knew that there also has to be an exit plan. He says this cannot continue forever. So he actually put in his exit plan the day we were getting the testing kits. So of course, we already had we had scientists, we had intellectuals who were part of this committee meetings, and in different findings we brought in some medical fraternity people also. And one was very clear, was that this was not going anywhere real soon. So the Chief Minister said, okay, fine. So the only way we can do is let's manage this business. Manage this disease. So how do we manage this disease? Is do as many tests as possible and contain this into as much lesser low containment areas. Now the randomness of your testings and the frequency of your testings, as it increases, you would actually know, you will start controlling the red zones areas. So that is why today in state of Andhra Pradesh, we're able to localize at red zones. Instead of creating the whole city to be a red zone, we can only take it to that particular ward or something like that. It's purely because of this testings that we have done. And apart from this, it's not only the testing, but it's also the post-care. You see the kind of PPE kits that we picked up. You see the kind of, then the other one, our respiratory meters, all these machines that we've been picked up. They all have basically, we have planned actually in our EMI model as per, in the worst case scenario model. The state of Andhra Pradesh actually planned for 20,000 infections a day. So we prepared ourselves for 20,000 infections in a day across the state. So each, let's say, district, what we were having, we were talking about 2,000, 3,000. So in that we had to multiply our quarantine areas, then the COVID test. So we actually had a plan before even we started this.
Right. And in fact, that brings me to an important question, given that we've seen a spurt in cases in the past 2 weeks, ever since, the country started unlocking, the requirement of ventilators has grown. So is there a plan in that aspect as well? There's a medical care zone in Vizag, from what I understand. So how is the state looking at that?
The medtech zone is on the plan to start manufacturing the ventilators too.
Okay.
But apart from it, now we've got so many other, educational institutions. You have some of these, bodies. This I'm talking about the industrial bodies who are coming out, and then who are giving us this different ways of this this machinery that's available today. But as far as I can say, what people have seen is that across the country, and this is that managing this has been better done at Andhra Pradesh. Especially this disease, and the way we have gone about and doing this and preparing for ourselves. So that is the confidence. Although there could be a spurt that we see today, the spurt is what we expected. Once you start opening up. But the beauty of this is that we have a system to take care of that spurt.
So can we say that Andhra is equipped to deal with the number of ventilators that might be required, given that there's been a spurt in cases?
Absolutely. Actually, we are preparing ourselves. I think, if I'm not wrong, I think we in each districts we plan something like 1,500 to 2,000 ventilators. So because we said we are hoping that not hoping, sorry. The worst case scenario is that when you get about 2,000 infections a day, and we are thinking that they turn into terminal. So we are taking that also into terminal. So that would be what we are saying is about 1,500 to 2,000 is what we are planning over in every district.
Oh, all right, and those will be manufactured here, as you said.
They will be manufactured. A part of it will be manufactured in medtech zones. Okay. Part of it will be coming from basically from outside also.
Right. So that's another thing I was coming to, sir, since you mentioned outside. Given that so much of manufacturing is happening within the state, is there a plan to perhaps earn more revenue, given the economic slowdown, across the country, from by selling these manufacturing or testing kits to foreign companies, exporting it to them? Any such plans?
Well, actually, now we see there's a because of our low cost of production. And if you really see, I think the African states, especially the poor African states, I think we see an immediate, market over there, where and also, I'm not wrong, the Bill Gates, the foundations is also looking at us to sort of like, fund that, that initiative in the Africa. So this is all the discussions that are going on. But what I say is that the state of Andhra Pradesh has proved that in these times, we actually stood tall in terms of not only getting the equipment in upfront, but also managing the way we went about managing the entire diseases.
Industry has been impacted severely across the country, and given that Vijayawada, Tirupati, Anantapuram, Visakhapatnam, these are some of the key IT hubs as far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned. So how is the state looking at in terms of ensuring the industrial IT sector is taken care of?
Well, actually, I know whether I'll be right in saying this, but I think this COVID has been a blessing for us in a way for the IT sector. I think IT has lost the charm of real estate, the location in what it had before. I think now the norm is across from, work from home. Although we could be, let's take it, let's be pragmatic. Tirupati can't compete with Bangalore. I mean, it's going to still take scale up. It's going to take, n number of years. Vijayawada is on the same line. Probably a semblance of competition I can give in Visakhapatnam. But unfortunately, it was not, not taken up, and it was relegated to behind. And now what we are having is we're seeing a greatest advantage. In fact, this is going to be one disruptive process, which is going to be very advantageous for the state of Andhra Pradesh, in that today we have AP fiber net, state fiber net, where we have laid almost 24,000 kilometers of optical fiber to every household. I mean, we are again going to create another 14,000 more kilometers. So if we are starting to create this basic broadband network, and this work from home is going to be the norm for future, which is the norm for future, and we have already started an initiation of trying to people understand this work from home. And this year we are training about 50,000 IT engineers in this revised models. So if you really see today, a guy could be, in fact, let me tell you, there's a lot of migration coming back from Bangalore or Hyderabad. They want to come back. See, 70% of the workforce sitting in Hyderabad or Bangalore are from this state, Telugu-speaking state. And now today they all want to come back. And then when they see the facilities of these available to them, and it becomes much more easier for them to work. In fact, I'm told the productivity has gone up by 4x. That's what a lot of the companies have been telling us. The productivity from work from home has gone up by 4x.
I want to, interrupt there. That's something that's a pattern I've been seeing across. In fact, we were in Telangana before we came here. In Hyderabad, I noticed that, even from Bangalore. So is there a pattern there that we're seeing people who are actually working from home have ended up being more productive, if I may say so? It's something I've seen across borders when I've been speaking to officials.
So I think it's to do with your level of comforts. And I think, when you're more at ease, not at stress, and, you're surrounded by, your near and dear thing. So your application of mind improves a lot better. And I guess, intellectual capitalism picks up better there, I guess. So I guess overall, if I see this is an advantage for us over there. Now, coming to this industry, the other part of the industry, that is the manufacturing side, we're talking about. We have a lot of this, there has been this case with us, with us, that the incentives that have supposed to have been paid for the last 5 years were not paid. And there was a huge squeeze on a lot of, especially the MSMEs and the textile sectors, because they are heavily dependent on cash flows, and especially on these incentives. So the minute our Chief Minister got to know about this, he was the first one in the country who announced MSME relief package. He sanctioned 950 crores of the outstanding incentives, and we're going to be clearing out the next tranche, the last tranche, on 29th of this month. So, and apart from that, he's given them the 3 months, the electricity waivers that are there, because, they were not producing it. But then, as per the electricity laws, they had to pay the minimum demand charges. So he waived the demand charges. And second, he brought in, a corpus fund, a 200 crores corpus fund we're raising, to give micro lending at a very low interest cost to revive these industries, for, recapitalize these industries. So at one end, they've got the capital now to start. And then the power, basically, it's a savings over there. And to going forward, a working capital process. So in fact, I think through the MSME sector in Andhra Pradesh is actually not, I wouldn't say revived, I would say it's actually ready to take on whatever, advantages and the growth markets that are going to be giving to to this place. And we are much more better placed than any other MSMEs in other parts of the world.
Right. That's in fact something that I was coming to. In fact, the state was also vocal right in the beginning in terms of supporting the centre's relief package as well. And I think soon after the AP relief package was announced. So any comments on that as well?
Actually, I think our Chief Minister in his, in his video deliberations with the Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, he actually gave a note saying, what are the sectors that we should be looking at. And first thing he said was MSMEs, then he said the migrant labor, then he spoke about, giving access to free, basically low cost of capital, waiving of interest charges. I mean, this is all the things, how we said this. Another one interesting point that we've done in the state of Andhra Pradesh is I think, is that our social empowerment programs have actually put money in people's hand. I mean, I can talk about today, when I just say roughly a unit would consist of, let's say, the grandparents, the parents, and the children. Between 6 of them, I would say they have nothing less than 1 lakh of rupees in an unencumbered account that they've got from various social incentives. It could be fee reimbursements, it's Amavadi schemes, there's Navaratna schemes. So money right now is available for people, so to come back and spend. So I will see that the state of Andhra Pradesh purchasing power parity has gone up, and you will see the cycle of spending, and this is going to start very quickly in here. So that is again going to help the industries.
So that also brings me to the issue of unemployment, given the post-lockdown phase. You've also ordered a survey on unemployed youth in the state. What is the outcome of that going to be? Why is the survey being conducted exactly?
I think one commendable thing that I've not been able to mention, and I should really mention, is this. Our village volunteer workforce, they were this workforce, at each unit, village they work in. There are about 15 to 20 people. They were basically the army, frontline army, against the fight against the COVID. So I'll tell you a simple case. They used to go to every household during the COVID period, understand who's got in, or anybody has come in, or any of the relations have gone out and come in. So they were tracking everybody. So that is one of the reasons why we had a very low number in the starting days, if you look at Andhra Pradesh. Apart from this, these people are also doing home delivery of the minimum needs that is required. Now, what we've done is that we need to understand what is our exact ratio of our unemployable youth. Also, we had migrant labor coming back, and my labor which have left from here. So we did that analysis. We did close to about 3.5 lakh migrant labor have left back from the state. I'm talking about migrant labor manual level. The locum. The people who have returned back to Andhra Pradesh, the natives, were about 1.5 lakh. Now what we are saying is that we need to start mapping. But before we're doing that, we're seeing each district, whichever district that is, what is the demand requirement? What is the demand of the industries? And then against that, we're going to match it with our employability over there.
So once the outcome comes, we'll know. In that aspect, the state is also focusing on coming up with over 20 skilled colleges, institutes. Is that also being speeded up, given the unemployment that's happening in the post-lockdown?
Yeah, actually, now we are actually moving away from this world of globalization to more of localizations. So we are actually, let me put it this way to you. The idea is. Our Chief Minister has said that, we have to create, any industry that comes in should provide 75% employability to our youth in Andhra Pradesh. But he said very clearly, it is not a rule I would like to put out, I would like to enforce it on you without creating a valuable workforce. So what he has done, he's taken a step back and said, we are now setting up 30 world-class. In fact, yesterday we had the final meeting and he has sanctioned the project. So we will be starting this very soon. The idea is to construct 30 skill development colleges in all the MP segments, and one university, IT university, which is going to be coming up in Tirupati. Now, this is going to be a world-class institutions, which the idea what Chief Minister said was, let's create a workforce, a world-class workforce, just not for Andhra Pradesh, but for the world. So with that, when we create these opportunities for people, we would be able to have actual people, not only the employability goes up, but you can actually see the value attritions coming up. People are able to jump into better paying jobs, going up in the value chain will also be a benefit to the state. So holistically, we think this skill development colleges is going to be the first of its kind in this country to do this happening.
Of course, Andhra Pradesh is seeming to be dealing with it because they had an exit plan in place already. What are the current challenges that you're facing while you're dealing with these strategies?
I see. One of the thing is that regarding this disease, I think we go out there and educate people more about this disease. There's a stigma on this disease, and so that is something which we need to educate people more.
In terms of the industrial impact as well?
Just not industrial practice, but just go out in the public and explain to them, because the fact is that the social boycott of any infected person is actually affecting them, the mental, then more than actually the disease. So this is just, I'm not saying just particularly the state, but across the state. But when you're talking about the challenges that we face, and in fact, I wouldn't say challenge, I would say these opportunities that I'm looking forward to is, in this post-COVID time is, we have demonstrated that, there were three notable things that have happened to us. One in this state in the last, span of 3-4 months. One was the COVID management, where we proved people that, we've done well. Today, I think if I'm not wrong, we tested about 6 lakh odd more people today, as of today we stand. And the second was the LG polymer blast, that happened.
Yes.
And how the administration actually moved in and, was able to, within 24 hours, we were able to contain the place. And the third was MSMEs during the most troubling time. The Chief Minister, his benevolence actually restarted the entire process. This has given confidence for a lot of investors, or for that matter, even people within, per se, that this is a progressive state. And we can come here and, we can be taken care of.
And interestingly, the state is also looking at a new industrial policy in the middle of all this.
All the ministers
Yeah, so I'm very curious to understand that, given the timing.
The new industry policy, it's not going to be, no Aladdin, no magic books over here. It's going to be very simple. The idea is to make it very transparent and also make sure what the CM has said, one thing. He said, commit only on what we can deliver. So he said, I will deliver you world-class infrastructure, committed water, electricity, and management. In the sense that hand-holding, just not giving you in permissions, but making sure after, it is my responsibility also, that you, during your constructions and also subsequently during your operations, that I hand-hold you and make sure that you be a winner. So we are hand-holding, the marriage is going to be just not for that, it's going to be for the entirety of its life. So that's a new policy that we are bringing out here.
And again, like I said, unlike some of the other states, we're actually seeing new projects come in as far as Andhra Pradesh is concerned. You also announced on Twitter about a tie-up with the company where a new airport is likely to come up here. If you could talk about that, and also a new port.
Well, actually, now, as I said, the Chief Minister has been very clear on this developing infrastructure. So we've just awarded the international airport in Visakhapatnam, and since Visakhapatnam is going to be our executive capital and this is airport, envisages about 2,200 acres of land, and the plan is about 6 to 7 million passengers. Initial capacity is what they're planning this airport for. So that is going to kickstart very soon. And apart from this, we have created 3 major ports that are going to be coming into construction. They're in DPR phase. The deep water port of Ramayapatnam, Machilipatnam, and Bamapadu. Apart from these 3, we have 7 fishing harbors to facilitate the marine products. I think, if I'm not wrong, the state of Andhra Pradesh stood number 1 in the country in the marine products export. So we want to export that more.
And will this not be slowed down given, the issues with the labor and with people wanting to sit at home, and because this is on-site construction, so won't the speed of the project be impacted?
I think as I mentioned sometime back, any government or any policy maker should be looking at trying to say that, giving guarantee for a person, that if you're stepping out of the house, it is my duty to protect you. And if I can demonstrate it, I protect you not only from this disease, but also I protect you from making sure that your health is taken care. If that guarantee is provided and you amply demonstrate it, people are ready to come out.
Right. And one last question. I know that, AP's number of cases have been rising here, but do we see the state looking at a lockdown again? or is resumption of economic activity and industrial sector more important? Because we've seen in the last 1 week there's been a major spurt.
This spurt is it's not something that we not expected. We expected it. But as I said again, I think our manageability of this has also been taken care. So we are able to manage it very well. If you see our the fatality cases is very low in the country, and the recovery is very high. So if you look at all these, this is because of the facilities and immediate care that we're giving to these people. So that gives us a right to continue what we are doing today.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us at ThePrint. Thank you. We'll continue to bring the latest regarding the COVID pandemic from the state of Andhra Pradesh and other places. So do subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on all social media platforms.